Okay, right. I always get nervous every single time. So, uh, welcome to Empowered Educators with Ronnette Branham. I am so glad to have my special guest and those who are logging in and will log in. I appreciate you coming, and I'm so excited about this topic because this topic is something dear to me. Where, like I said, I tell people all the time, the beginning of this school year, I quit my job 5 times a day just because it wasn't working. And I was trying to figure it out until I had to take a break and get back into it. So we're going to talk about is um, quitting an option, or what strategies we can use to make it work, to make our jobs work, to make our first loves or our calling, as we say it, to make that work or figure it out. So I have three guests today, and I have Vicky Bastidas.
Yeah.
I should have asked you that first. And Brad Butler II and Aquaus Kelley. How are you today? I
Great.
Well,
I
I'm good.
appreciate you coming. I really do. So we're going to go around, and you can just tell us who you are and how you fit into this topic, and then we'll get into the subject. So I'll start with you, uh, um, Vicky.
Well, hi everyone. So I have right now a sales and marketing consulting company, and I have been working with people for the last 15 years and just motivating, training, and it is, very much sales, in the sales field. But it's a lot about, a lot of my trainings end up being a lot on mindset. And so when Ronette reached out about this, I just said, I'm like, it's a common topic that, happens all the time. People get, you know, they get down, things get rough, mindset sometimes isn't in the right place. And, it's just something that, I deal with, pretty frequently, I'll be honest. And so anyway, so I do that. And I'm also a realtor on, as well on the side. So, sales is, been in sales a long time.
I appreciate that, and like we talked about, this is a subject that can fit in any career. It
hmm
really is. It doesn't have to be for educators. Every career has their ups and downs, and where people want to quit or keep it going. So, how are you doing, Brad?
I'm doing well, and so my name is Brad Butler II. I'm an educational consultant, so I speak all across the country at schools, universities, and corporations. The main topic that I'm speaking on is student success and retention, and there's an overarching theme that I use, which is called "Hope is your superpower." So I do believe that this topic is very necessary. Being that our educators are, overworked and underpaid, but they have a heart of gold, and that's why they're in the position that they're in. They could have chosen to do anything else in the world, but they choose to work with the students day in and day out. So that's why I honor them every time I have the opportunity to be in their presence.
Thank you. And yeah, I want to go out and follow you one day because I'm loving that, because that's what I do, and that's what this podcast is about. So I can appreciate one day, and maybe in the summer I'm going to shadow you if you're in town. And then we have Aquarius. How are you?
I'm doing well right now. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I am a fifth grade math and science teacher, so I am in the trenches every single day. Um, been in the classroom for 7 years. This is my seventh year, and as we get into this conversation, I will unpack my mindset in regards to some of those tough moments and how I went about breaking through those tough moments. So I'm excited and looking forward to digging in.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking? I was talking to someone today, and when you said that, I was thinking I was talking to somebody, and it's a black male, and we were discussing his role in school, and then how teachers get burned out, male teachers, because of we think they are this security system or something. So that is a whole other subject. But once you said that, I thought about that. So again, we want to discuss pursuing our dreams, pursuing what we truly want, and as opposed to quitting, even though sometimes quitting may be it for us. It may be the thing to do. You may really, it may really not be a great fit, or we think it's not, and we don't have the strategies, the skills to make it work, make our jobs work, make what we love to do work. I want to say it really fast. I know I like to talk, and we all do, so that's why we're here. But I had struggles like this year. I started out with all Spanish speaking students. I mean, that was the last year too. Last year was just me, so the students had to learn English, period. This year it was dual language. They had me and a Spanish speaking teacher, and we split in the middle of the day at 11 o'clock. And they didn't listen to me because they know they had Sanchez on the other side. So they tuned me out. They started having conversations while we're talking. I mean, it was driving me crazy, but it was trying to. I just wasn't going there. And I quit. I went to my boss a few times a week, said, I quit 3 times today. I quit 5 times today. This is not working. You can't make this work because it doesn't make sense, because it's a new program. And you started right now. You didn't start them in kindergarten. So I had to find myself. I took a week off, a week and a half maybe off, to find myself. What is your goal? Is your goal listen to you, or is it for you to educate those students? So I had to regroup, and that was something that's in me. You're not quitting. You know you're not quitting. So what are you going to do? And that's what it was, my thing. So maybe we'll go backwards this time. I'm not sure. So Aquaus, how does that work for you? Do you find that, or you just have strategies already in place?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of my strategies is I tend to spend time after school every day to reflect upon the day, to see what I can modify and adapt.
We're still here. I'm sorry.
For example, I like sports, so I treat it like a game. Every day for me is a game, and at the end of every day is an opportunity to adapt, adjust, modify, just like a coach would at halftime. So if I have problems with a particular lesson, it's my time to go in and readdress and look at that learning standard a little deeper to figure out what I can do to become better when I come into the classroom the next day. So that's a daily practice that I tend to implement, that really helps me to stay fresh and excited to come back. I love challenges. I love design. And that's one of the things that really helps me, is knowing that even when I quote unquote fail for the day, that I have that time to come back stronger the next day. And then just day after day, month after month, year after year, I see the result of that based on how students respond to a lesson, based on how students may respond to a new rule or policy, based on what happened. And I also believe in transparency, being very clear with, this happened. How do we want to create a solution around it together? How can this solution create a better environment moving forward? So as a teacher, I'm big on transparency, communication, and just improvement day to day.
I like that. Thinking about that, I think that's something that I keep in mind also, where every day is a new day. You try, you learn from yesterday, and every day is a new day. And that, I think that's a great strategy. Some people don't think like that. Some people think, I felt this is not working. I can't make this work. I don't know what I'm going to do. So thinking about every day is a new day, it is. So going from there, I can appreciate that. Brad, do you have anything to add to that, or your strategies, or your what you can do to offer for somebody who's struggling?
Yeah. So when I'm doing professional development with the educators, um, a big component of my presentation is always going to be about mental health and wellness and them taking care of themselves. So I'll always tell them that I need them to eat. I need them to get some sleep. I need them to understand that no is a complete sentence, have some boundaries. And just take some time for yourself. You have to take care. That self-care is really important. There's an acronym that I use. It's called HALTS. A lot of people have heard of it before in the mental health field or the counseling field. My master's is in counseling, so in the counseling field they have an acronym called HALTS. So you shouldn't be making any decisions if you are hungry, if you are angry, if you are lonely, if you are tired, or if you are stressed. So if you're dealing with any of those emotions, you really shouldn't be making any hard decisions at that moment. So the biggest thing for me when it's dealing with the educators is helping them to first get them to be the best versions of themselves when they're coming into the classroom, so that they can be able to deliver at a high level when they get there. Because if they're dealing with all types of issues and trauma and stress and things like that, it bleeds out when they get into the classroom, whether they realize it or not. So the first thing is for us to work on them taking care of themselves first, and then you can take care of pedagogy, agoragogy, whatever it is that your demographic it is that you're dealing with.
Wow, you know what? You said a mouthful. I never looked at my job as making a decision when I'm stressed out. I mean, I never. I'm like, I have to go home. Then I regroup when I get home, but I don't think of it like I'm under duress. I'm under stress. I need to make a decision, and I shouldn't, because I'm having a problem here. I never thought of it like that. I always decompose and relax, even though that may be what I'm doing, but I never looked at it like that. Really, I haven't. I have looked at it, relax somewhere, but not. You better sit yourself down somewhere. Don't even try to sign anything. I never thought of that. That's cool. Okay, Vicky, how about you?
So I'm not like a school teacher, but I've been teaching people. So I look at it more from, trying to remember, why you even started in the first place. Like if you're in a place where you're really just drained and you're tired and, going back, kind of like working backwards and then trying to remember, okay, great. Like, why did I start in the first place? Why did I even go into this field? Knowing that a lot of times when you like when we're talking about school teachers now, right, but you're choosing this career when you're 18, right? So there's something that made you want to get started in the first place. So work backwards, think about why, and then I would dig a little bit deeper, and I actually have a workshop on finding out what is your why, right? And a lot of times you have to dig really deep, and if you're in a place where um I'm not trying to tell people to like leave schools here, but if you are in a place where you're truly unhappy, it doesn't mean you need to stop teaching. You can still teach, but maybe it means you start, maybe it's a nonprofit. Maybe you start, doing things with children after school activities. Maybe it means you start a tutoring, company. Maybe, still teaching, but in a place where you're fulfilled. But you need to figure out like why did you even start in the first place? And then the other thing to that is also your mindset, because remembering that the mind controls the body. So when you're constantly talking about, well, I'm tired, this is horrible, the mind, like everything around me, like the policies, the guy, like when you're talking constantly like that, you're bringing that's your mindset. So also being conscious of what are you saying, are you what are you're speaking life, like the people that are around you, if everyone around you is negative, like you have to consciously see like what are you around. So I truly think that it's digging deep and really remembering why you started, and then making that decision. And I always say it comes down to making a decision of thinking, okay, great, am I really where I need to be? Right? Like, that this is your calling to teach because you want to empower these children. You want to help these children. That's probably why you started, because you want to help and you want to empower. But are you in the right place? Is it in a school? Does it mean that you start your own business? I'm coming from an entrepreneur. Like I'm an entrepreneur. So maybe I'm coming from a different place, but maybe it means you start your own business, and yeah, you're in control of your situation. So you're doing what you love and what you're passionate about, but now you're in control of your situation, right? And maybe it's taking that to a new level and new heights. But I do think that you need to work backwards when you're in this place where you're in a rut, right? Where like mentally you're just like I'm frustrated. Like I love what I do, but I'm frustrated, right? Well, why? Why did you start?
Yeah, that is something that we all have to. I don't care, like you said, what career you have, what job you have. Why did I do that? And that is something I can appreciate. I'm glad that you brought that up, because you might, tutoring, like you said, maybe your own business, maybe your own little, you could be, my sister-in-law, she homeschools her children. She has, I think, 3 that she's homeschooling right now, including the baby who's not even ready for school, but she's in class with them. She has a whole class, and then she found a community because that's what she wants to do. And it can work, and it can work. You may want to teach adults, it may not be. And then, like you said about that mindset, teachers, if you go to different districts, you will find a mindset, or some people say a mind. That's the mind of these teachers or those teachers, because I'm finding that you go to different districts, each one has their own mind. Their mind is great. We're teaching, we're educating, we have everything we need. Others, we don't. We're struggling, and then we our mindset might be the struggle. And so I think we have the right people here. We have the right people. I mean, this is working because you're speaking to me, you're speaking to teachers who I know I speak to all the time. And we are struggling. Like, we are getting burned out, not getting burned out for no reason. There's a reason, but we shouldn't be. We should have the skills, the strategies. So if anybody wants to chime in, or break it down even more, what a teacher can do for if they're struggling, if they're not struggling, whatever your expertise, because you all came from someplace different, which is great. So we could, whoever wants to chime in, I'm good with that.
I know for me right now, I'm looking at the comment from Angelica, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, in regards to burnout. And I know that's a very heavily used phrase. And I always think as to what causes burnout. And as you mentioned earlier in the discussion, that sometimes you may have to take a week off or a mental health break. For me, a lot of it comes down to self-awareness, which then again ties to knowing, should I be in this profession or should I not be in this profession? Because whatever choice we make, whether we're educators or not, we're taking and holding space, and that space is very valuable. So if we cannot offer value to the people we're looking to serve, someone else can be occupying and optimizing that space. So I tend to think about that as well, is, am I being my best self? Because if I'm not, I'm just occupying a space that someone else could be holding right now and really being of service. So that's something that also comes to mind for me, is outside of myself, is understanding the dynamic of the environment I'm in. And this has been any job I was at, from retail, Home Depot, Uber, like any job, is when I show up, I want to be excellent at it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm still teaching. I've had people tell me I should be an administrator, I should be a principal. I want to be excellent at teaching first, because that is what I'm going to bring into my next role, whatever that is. So for me, excellence is the only option. That's what keeps me going day to day.
Yeah. I just start grinning every time I hear somebody hit the nerve, because we have to have that mindset, or whatever our mission is in life, you want to be the best at it. Why go in nonchalant, just taking up space? I'm a teacher because my mom, my grandma, my aunts, everybody in my family's a teacher, and we have to have spring break. We have to have summer off. Like, for me, I know if I quit teaching, I'm gonna have to have my summers off. So it's not even because of that, but that's something that's in my head already. So is that the reason you're teaching? Because you're used to college, that sort of thing. So it is walking in your best life, and then the value will be there. really, I appreciate that. And
I'd say that a good way to avoid burnout is knowing yourself, knowing your personality. What are your strengths and what are your limitations? I don't like to say weaknesses. So with me personally, like being an entrepreneur, doing this work that I've been doing for over 10 years now within the educational space, it's the same thing over and over again. People get stressed out because they allow themselves to fall into a path that they're not supposed to be in. They don't set boundaries for themselves. They've taken on roles that they were never assigned to. You have some individuals who you're stressed out because you come to work and you have to put on the front, a facade, a fake, a mask. You have to be this version of yourself that you're not naturally. And if you do that for too long, it causes stress and it causes issues. So I'm a big advocate of being who you are. The same person you are at home should be the same person you are at work. It shouldn't change. Like, you shouldn't have to code switch. Like, you should be the exact same person. That way people will know. Then you don't look fake and you don't look bipolar, right? You're the same person. So my wife has like a little thing that we've talked about before, just that when I had jobs back in the day, years ago, when I had a job and any of the jobs I had prior to, I was that guy who would come in and like, this is what I'm gonna do and this is what I ain't finna do. It just is what it is. I know that there's like guidelines and certain things. Whatever. Listen, this is what I signed up for. I did not sign up for this, that, or the other. So don't try to give me these other roles or other things. No, I'm not staying late. No, I'm not working on the weekends. No, I have a standard. I'm going home to my wife. Like, we plan to have a family. Like, we have certain things. Like, when I clock out of here, I'm building my business as a speaker. And that led me to where I am now because I created boundaries and standards. And I never faked it. I never, like, if they saw me on the streets, I was that same person at work. So there was no difference. So I wasn't stressed. I might have stressed a couple other people out because they were trying to force an issue and try to make something happen and make it be something that it wasn't. I'm like, you can stress yourself out all you want to. I'm telling you exactly who I am up front.
yeah, because when you're not yourself, that can cause you to quit because you're struggling within. How could you be at peace? How can you perform at top performance? How could you at your peak performance? You can't, because you're struggling trying to fake it. I'm so glad now I'm in that spot where I'm learning 100% who I am. And I never had that in me to code switch. I never knew how to do it. I never knew. You can take me anywhere, I sound just like this. This is how I talk to my students, just like this. Like, I don't know, they're 7. They know how to speak to an adult, not saying, okay, we have to speak like children to adults. This is how I talk to them. This is their people. So I don't know how to change. And maybe that's good. That helped me. But being that, trying to be somebody that I wasn't, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. You will have headaches. You will trying to figure things out. It doesn't work. So knowing who you are, if you have to take some time with yourself, just I finally understand when people say I have to go off for a little while and find myself. I get it now. I never got that. Like, you just want a vacation. No, that's some real stuff right there.
Mhm.
So I like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll add that I think, we're human, and I think personal growth is one too. Like, and I'll tell you this because I recently went through this. So, sometimes when we're in a job and we're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, there's going to come a point where you're going to be like, what else? And when you're in that what else stage, you can easily go down the rabbit hole of that mindset of like, oh, again, like, I love what I do, but like, and then the negatives, and then you're not as driven and as excited. That excitement wears off, and then I think, you're just, okay, well, what else can I do? And not everyone's goal is to continue to grow professionally, because everyone has different goals. But for the most part, some people, they do, it doesn't even have to be a big thing, but having some sort of new, I don't want to say responsibility, but like that next step in your career, that might give you the life and that excitement that you need to keep going. So recently, like I just went through this. Like I said, I'm a licensed realtor. I've been doing this for 5 years and I'm doing very well. And everyone is like, you should start a team, blah, blah, blah. I did this years ago and I'm like, I have no interest, no interest. But I was like, I know I can do something else, right? But I wasn't sure what that was. And I was feeling that down. I was feeling that, like I'm tired, like it's just like the same thing over. Like I was feeling what we're talking about. And then I was like, I want to start my own company. I'm like, I just want to start my consulting business using the skill set that I already know. And it's given me so much life because I'm helping others. I'm empowering others. I'm helping people make more money, but it's given me the life that I didn't have, when I started feeling this about a year ago, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was. So sometimes it's personal development and personal growth and seeing how can I freshen this up, right? Like, especially when you've been doing something for years, for as much as you might be like, like I don't want to take on more responsibility. I don't want to do more, but putting something new in there, like throwing in something to keep it fresh, like that might give you the spark and the energy that you need.
I think so too. You know what I found? One teacher that I noticed, I never noticed it before until I met this teacher.
Mhm.
She has never stayed in the same grade level for more than 3 years. Never. She's bounced around from kindergarten to fifth grade. She's never stayed and that might be the reason. I never asked her why. I didn't. She just, she might have had the same group of students 2 times because she moved. And that is something. Or trying to be new about what you do, even if you do the same thing. That I can appreciate this. So I was thinking of what kind of resources do you think as a teacher? Just say I don't know that I need to grow. Just say I don't know that this is the cause of my stress because I love what I do, but I hate my job. That kind of stuff. I love teaching. When I'm in my classroom, I'm alive, but I have all these stressors. I don't even realize that is causing my headaches. That is causing all this stress. What kind of resource would you offer a teacher? Not teacher, because this is for educators, principal, whoever, or anybody else. Aquarius, you're in the position. Brad, you offer the strategies. And Vicky, you just have the answers right there because it is being new. So what do you have to say like to that teacher that doesn't even know?
I think again, it goes back to making space to find a way to discover first. Because if you don't know, like, how you gonna know? So you have to do something, whether it's exploring other avenues to discover what makes you excited. It's finding joy. Search for joy, whether it's inside the domain of education or outside. Just find joy within something. For me, what I find to be the most joyful as an educator is spending time developing and designing curriculum. And where does that come from? It's knowing that there are certain pain points and just areas that need to be developed within curriculum. If curriculum isn't aligned with New Jersey student learning standards, then everything else just lacks, right? So as a teacher, I'm looking at that problem and I find joy in solving it, right? That's me. For someone else, it might be more of the social component of having conversations with students and getting to know them and providing after school extracurricular activities. There are a lot of components within education, doing what Brad does, speaking, right? Assemblies. There's so many different components because now a school is essentially a microcosm of a community. Whatever we can think of, we can be creative and find ways to implement it within the school system. So I would encourage that is become creative with whatever you do, whatever you enjoy, whether it's sports, whether it's business, cooking, whatever it is, and find a way to implement that into your role as an educator or whatever you do within education. So that's what comes to mind for me.
Can you see my wheels turning right now?
I see them. Yep. I see them.
Absolutely. My eyes, they had that spark because it sounds like you work in Trenton where you had. Could I say that? Well, my principal might be watching. But yeah, you where you see something, you're like, oh, we need. I love what we had. Now we have this. How can I bring this alive to make it actually fit the standards, the goals that we're trying to make? I Man, when I say I could appreciate that, I don't just say it. I really mean that. My wheels are turning. Okay, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You have something to do. And Brad is on the edge of his seat. Yes, Brad.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with me. Whenever I'm talking to the educators and we're having those sidebar conversations after the presentations and things like that, one of the things I want them to know is that being an educator is what you do. It's not who you are. Like, I don't want them to get caught up in that and think that everything revolves around them being an educator. Everything revolves around the students. You're human. Like, you have your own life. Like, your like your husbands, your wives, your fathers, your sisters and daughters and uncles and aunts and things like that. You're in the community. You're, faith-based, whatever the case may be. You have all these other components that make you who you are. You're not just a educator. It's one of the things that make you great. It's a gift that you have, and it's absolutely necessary, and we need it, throughout the community and in this world in general. The educators being able to connect with the hearts and minds of the students are what is like the foundation that creates the students who have so much success, whether it's in the classroom or whether they're become athletes, whatever the case may be. Like, there's a foundation that starts it all, and that is the educators. But sometimes, not always, but sometimes our educators get lost in that, and it stresses them out so much because they're doing so much to be the best educators that they can be, and so much to be like all things for the students, and they're not doing anything for themselves. So my thing is always for them to focus on taking care of themselves. And what they'll notice is, if you're taking care of yourselves and doing what you can within the classroom to take care of your students, you'll recognize if there are voids, like Aquaus was saying earlier. If there are voids, if there are other areas that you can use your gifts, you'll see, oh, I'm not just an educator. I can also do speaking engagements based around the educational space, or I can talk about other things that I am interested in. I can look into other endeavors. Like, you might want to hit up Vicky and be like, hey, I want to get into real estate too. I don't only want to be an educator. I also want to work in real estate, and I want to do other things. You'll realize that there's other avenues that are out there. You're not this just one line like to success. Like, these other things that your gifts are supposed to tap into and allow you to be successful in. But if you have this like laser focus on, only thing I can do is on my main focus, my only focus is the kids, and the only focus is the school. It's like, listen, I'm sorry, somebody's not gonna like this, but you get fired, guess what? They're gonna fill your role. So take care of
Absolutely.
yourself. Yeah, so take care of yourself and figure out what your purpose is as it pertains to the educational space. Like Aquaus says, it might not be just in the classroom. You might need to be out there speaking at these conferences. You might need to be doing workshops. You might be the one who actually has to show these other educators how to do it a little bit better. Like, you might want to step into DEI and like all these different, you might decide, hey, you know what? It's time for me to step up and go ahead and go into the administrative position. Like, so now I'm going back to school and I'm going to do whatever, but you won't know unless you open your mind up to it and see what other avenues you can step into that you can use your gift.
Yeah, we we are multifaceted people. How do we forget that? How I don't even understand how we forget, and we do. You become a grandmother, and you're a grandmother. You're like, that's all I do. I'm this grandmother. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. Whatever you are, we just get. That's what I do, and then I know that they'll fill your position in a minute. I mean, I don't care if people. I have heard people say, if you die today, your job is going to be posted tomorrow. I mean, people, they do that. Like, jobs do that. So just, we have to put everything in perspective. Not to mention, we all love to do other things. We all do. I mean, we might like to go into a different kind of business, has nothing to do with what we're doing, but our voices, if we are teachers, have a voice. That's like the driving force. Maybe not for, it is for a lot of people. So that driving force for that other position, that other job, the other thing you want to do is using your voice to get it out there. That networking part of it. So you may make jewelry, I don't know, and oh wow, this is something I can do on Saturdays, and then it'll take my mind off of that, and I'm this whole person. You're a whole person, and we have to remember that, because I don't take work home from school. I don't. I used to. I do if it's something that I really, you have these tests that you had to grade, and I have I throw away stacks like this of homework. I don't care. I tell your parent, they're like, talk to him about doing his homework. No, his homework is for him to reinforce what he did. I'm not grading that stuff because a lot of times you did it. So I'm not grading teacher homework. So kids, they see this stack and then they come in one day and it's empty, because I wait till they leave and I throw it out in the trash. They don't see the stacks in the trash, but that's what I do. I don't care. I tell the parent, look, you can stress about that homework if you want. That's for them. If you want your child to learn and reinforce what they learn, do it. If you don't, I'm not grading that anyway. Like, I'm going to do my best in the classroom, but I'm not taking it home. So yeah, I'm learning. I enrolled in Next Level Academy. That, who would have thought that? As Beaver used to say, who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? Not me. So as you say dollars, I'm like, no, I don't think so. I have evolved. I've grown because getting out. So that all of this is awesome. I don't want to, I know I want to keep talking, but I don't want to, keep saying the same thing. Do we have anything else to add? Because, we have this passion in us also. And we talk about keeping that alive by seeing what more we could do. The passion, maybe we lost the passion. Man, you said getting to know yourself. We have challenges, even if we have that passion. There's so many. How about we're doing everything we could do? Then what? Everything we do. What if I really want to quit? But what if I'm not quitting because I hate my job, quitting because I need to do something else? I mean, there's so many ways to take it, and the floor is yours. Just give us what you have, what you want to leave with the person. I don't want to cut it off. I know people are sending me messages saying this is awesome. So I want them to keep on hearing it. But at the same time, I don't want to, keep saying the same thing. But, this could be a series. So what do you have to add for me? How about this? A new teacher. I'm new. I hear all this stuff. You talking about quitting? You hate your job? You tired of these administration? I just got here. I love what I do, but I'm afraid now. There you go.
I would say
okay, go ahead, please.
As a new teacher, I always think about my first year and what made me feel so overwhelmed. And a lot of it was the lesson planning, the expectations to teach a lesson without having the adequate materials. You spoke about resources earlier, without having the adequate materials to teach it, just overwhelmed with everything coming at you at once. So for me, I think a strong mentor is important, because over the years, I've literally just created things that I would have wanted my first year. So now that I have those, I can hand it over and show someone how to literally navigate through the educational system to make it less overwhelming, number one, make it make sense, number two, because that's another thing. Sometimes we're in these meetings, CPTs, this, that, directives from here, there. And it's like, why are we doing this again? What's the point of doing this? What's the rationale? And no one can even explain why we're doing certain things. So it's those kinds of things that just add up and make teachers fed up, right? That's really it. I know a lot of teachers who have left, and yes, they love the students. Yes, they love this. They love the hours. They love that. But it's only a matter of time before there's so much mismanagement that anyone will leave. So unless we can manage ourselves, that's the only way that, makes things a bit more manageable. But if we can't do that, it's only a matter of time before teachers leave. So I would say learning how to manage ourselves, learning how to manage up, right? Knowing how things run, learning that, I'm learning about district policy now because I have more behavior issues this year due to certain situations that unfolded, where now I have to make some time to understand the language of policy and education law. And this is all just making me become better at the end of the day. So I'm looking at the silver lining as well. I'm just continuing to add tools to my toolkit, just like anyone in any profession would. Like Brad being a speaker, like that's his thing. That's what he does. So I'm sure wherever he goes, he's finding ways to add things into the toolkit. And then he's sharing that, right? Just like yourself, I'm next level as well. So that's why we're here. We were in the group chat, just being in that community, fostering that community, which is another thing. PLCs, professional learning communities, it's finding your tribe. Who are your people? Who can you vibe with to elevate to a level where it's almost hard not to quit because you're around your people all the time, just doing your thing. So I would share that.
Yeah, you know what? Everything you said, I had an episode on. Because it's true. It is. You have to find your tribe. Who are your people? Where are they at? You have to have a community. And then you have to, again, know who you are and manage yourself. Knowing who you are is key. And then finding that person. Because it doesn't have to be a whole community. That person who can help you, guide you. Because teaching, I now, this is what I do. I say people get around me, they say don't listen to her, right? Because I say this is how I do. You gave me this curriculum, I'm going to work it. But all that other stuff you're telling me to do, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because what's my goal is to educate my students. Every day I leave my classroom, did I do my job? It's not about did I have visual? It's not about did I have something written? Did I say it right? So every child in my class has to be educated every single day. That's my goal. How do I do it? Yes, I'm going to use the visual. Yes, I'm going to use the right words. I'm going to use the written. I'm going to use hands-on. I'm going to do that. I may not do it the way you say. You say follow this particular pattern. I can't. I have to know my students. So that is what guides me. So find what guides you. And Brad.
Well, if it was someone new coming into the position, and I was never a teacher. I never worked in a school as a teacher. I took time to learn the educational space, and I left a job that I was at, well, being paid pretty well, but I took that sacrifice to learn about the educational space and took a job as a paraprofessional so that I can learn about special ed and just general population and stuff like that, how things are being ran. I knew things from my standpoint as a student, but I didn't know things from the standpoint of an educator and what, uphill battles, they deal with and things like that. So once I got that experience, getting to know some of the newer educators who had came in, I would say this: if you're a newer educator, or even if you're new going into anything at all, and someone is telling you about their experiences and it's not necessarily the best experience that they've had, and they're ready to, quit and walk away from the situation, the best thing I probably could tell you is that you can't allow your destiny to be determined by somebody else's decisions, if that makes sense, because
Absolutely.
it just might not have been for them. But the only way you're going to find out if it's for you is if you go through the process and find out if it is for you. I've had a number of different jobs. I've worked in sales for the majority of my life and things like that. And sales was okay. I didn't have too much of an issue with it, but I didn't really want to chase a dollar every month. I didn't want to chase a quota every month. And when I transferred into the work that I do now, I had, close friends and family members who even told me that this is what this is what you really want to do. You want to work with kids. And the reason why I wanted to work with kids in the educational space is because I wanted to help them through some of the issues that I dealt with so that they didn't have to go through it alone. I wanted to let the educators know that by connecting with the hearts and minds of the students, it'll make your life so much easier. And I wanted the students to know that if they were able to connect their dreams with their education, it'll make the education process so much easier for them. So I wanted to make it real life situations and scenarios that would help them to be able to grasp the educational space and feel like, oh, I can make this work. Even if I don't like education, even if I don't like school. And why can I say that? Because I hate school. I have a master's degree and I hate school, right? But I love options. I love the options that an education gave me. And I knew the further I went with my education, the more that I'd be able to do. So that is the same token for anyone who's going into a new space. You have to find out if this is the space for you. How much can you actually tolerate? And when you learn the ins and outs of it, then you can have a better understanding of, should I pivot? Not necessarily leave or quit. Should I pivot? Move to a different space? Or is this industry just really not what it's cracked up to be? Let me go ahead and find something else that I'm gifted in doing. But you got to find out for yourself. You can't let another person make the decisions for you, because I've said it before, I'll say it again. My imagination is not limited by somebody else's reality.
Right.
You don't see the world the way that I see it.
Right.
So I might see it as, the silver lining in everything. And all you see is this dreary thing. Like you might see a picture or whatever, and it's just in black and white to you. But for me, it's in full color. So I see the best in this. So for me, it's always like, that's cool. I hear what you're saying, but I got to go experience it for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Because everybody's experiences are different. We have a different lens that we're looking through. All of our experiences filter, everything is filtered through that, and everything. So I get it. You cannot judge your job by somebody else's experience, because you don't even know why they think the way they think, how they think. We halfway know how we think. So how we going to judge by somebody else? So yes, if this is your goal, if this is your dream, go after it. Go after it. I say put all your eggs in one basket. What else you gonna do? So go after it. If you find you don't like it, you still living. So do something else. Vicky.
Well, I mean, I'll just start with, and this could relate to any industry, is it's never easy. I mean, listen, if something was easy, everyone would do it, And so, when you put the scenario of a new teacher starting out and everyone around them is, being negative or, but you have to remember it's not easy. There's a learning curve, it's learning, you got to get past that, and then it's understanding the job. And then it's also understanding, in this case, we're talking about grades. Like, are you with the right grade? I mean, whether it's maybe kindergarten, or maybe you need to be with the 8th grade, or you need to be in high school, maybe it's like, there's a learning to that, right? And again, this is in any space, any place, any job you get into, there's a learning curve of finding out, okay, is this really for me? And then you have to dig deep, and then also understand. And again, this is with anyone, and I said this in the beginning, is understanding why are you even in this space, right? And then digging deep. Like I always say, you got to go like 6 levels deep and understand why. And usually it comes down to some sort of healing and trauma that your why is determined by the time you're in like your mid to late teens, and it never changes. So you need to dig deep and like truly find out, what is your why? Because when you have a strong why and you understand what it truly is, it'll push you through anything, and it'll push you and let it and allow you to catapult and go levels above. So you're starting in one space, you may or may not like it, you're going to push through, and you may or may not like it, and then you're going to come to a place where you're going to say, okay, great, am I going to continue here? Do I need to go somewhere else? Do I need to move or not? And then sometimes, and we hit on this before too, you may be like, what, I just don't know what to do. And Aquaus, you brought up a good point of like, there's so many things you could do within the educational space, and that's great. But sometimes people come to a place where they just don't know. Like, what am I good at? What else can I do? And that's when I tell people, tap into your network. Tap into the people that your friends, your family, and ask them, What are 3 to 5 things that you think are good about me? Like, what are some positives that you see? Because sometimes we need people, our circle and the people outside, to tell us the good that they like. What are we good at? Like, what do you see in me that I don't see in myself? And sometimes that is the difference between you continuing what you're doing and saying, you know what, maybe I can start that new venture. Maybe I can, do this on the side. You know what? I forgot that I used to like knitting. I don't know, like 20 years ago, because we get so caught up in that day to day. We get so caught up in that. Sometimes it can get dark and it can get negative because you're just like, that you forget who you even are. I mean, Ronnette, you might relate to this one, having kids.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, when you have kids, all of a sudden you're just a mother and you forget who you are. And then you have to do the work. And okay,
Mm-hmm.
what do I like? Who am I? Right. And so when you're starting in a new space, I think it's just first understanding that, you know what, even though everyone around me might be negative, maybe I might love it. And that might be my opportunity, because guess what? If everyone leaves, I can catapult and go up. You have to look at the positive in everything,
Yeah.
and it's, again, it always goes back to, the basics, and it's mindset. Listen, nowhere have you ever heard that being negative is going to get you anywhere. Nowhere. Every book that you read, every podcast that you hear, every video you watch will always tell you to work on your mindset first, right? And it's your mind controls your body, and if you speak life, you bring life. So, I think it's just looking at it from different angles, but definitely leveraging your sphere, leveraging your network, and the people around you will help you more than you think, as long as you reach out to them, because that's another thing, right? Ego, pride. You don't want to reach out. You don't want to tell them that you're unhappy where you're at. You don't want to do all these things, but you should leverage the people around you. They'll help you more than you think.
Absolutely. Because we in the morning meetup, we had a task to do, was to text 10 people, go through your phone, text your 10 closest people, and ask them what were your gifts. What do they think your gifts are?
Mhm.
Everybody said the same thing to me. Everybody.
Yeah.
It was number one was my mouth, my voice, talking. I can talk and keep on talking, and that was so funny. And then how I'm a giver. They all said the same. They don't even know each other. When I say they didn't know each other, they didn't know each other, and they all came back with the same thing. And it's so funny because just say 20 years ago, could be less, I'm not sure. My family, we have singers in my family where they sing, like sang. God, we say sang. They sang. And I can't. Like I could, you can't. I took singing lessons. I did everything I could. I practiced. I tried to sing in front of my mother, and she just standing there looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, what are you trying to do here? And I thought I had no gifts, because that is my family. That's what they looked at. He could sing, whether they did something with it. I thought I had no gifts. And I learned that me talking, I found out years later, people looked up to me for my advice. In my family, these singers looked up to me all these years. I didn't know. I thought I wasn't gifted because I couldn't sing. And ask your people. And that is 100% true. Ask your people. Ask your people. So we're almost at the top of the hour. And all this advice, I'm taking it with me. I'm going to replay this, take my notes out. There's going to be so many clips, because everything that we do is for us first. It's for us. This is for me first, and then my people. And I just, man, I love this session. If you want to, I don't know if you just want to give us one sentence. We did that. One sentence for leave on a positive note. What is great that, not that we could do, just a positive. You know how we have that end of our speech, what we say. What could you say? Uh, Vicky, that's too fast for you. You ready? You ready? Or I want to leave. You good?
I guess I'll go.
Okay.
Just remember, you could do anything. If you put your mind to it, you could do anything. And it's just, I wasn't ready for the one sentence, but you could do anything.
It could be two sentences. It could be a quote. It could be how you want to say it. One sentence. I just came up with that, right? Okay, but you can, and if you can think it, you can do it. I love it. Adolphus. I said Adolphus.
Aquarius.
Okay, because I had an Adolphus on here. I'm sorry.
Do you have a student named Adolphus?
No, he was on here. Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
got you. I would say life is full of challenges, so we might as well fall in love with it. Again, I'm all about solutions. And for me, the pivotal turning point in my career as a teacher was learning to fall in love with all the challenges that come with teaching. And that's made things a lot more fruitful, in all honesty. So I would say that regardless of what industry we're in, we are going to encounter challenges. If we can learn to fall in love with it, overcome them, it makes life so much more meaningful and purposeful. So I would say that.
Okay, Brad, you gonna take us out?
Okay. I'll say prepare with humility, perform with confidence. And that's important for our educators, because we get a lot of educators who fall into the space of more of the um, introverted space. They're, they're not, and I'm talking about they dope. They really skilled, very gifted, memory out this world, sharp intellect, research abilities, data entry, like all these different things that, somebody like myself who's an extreme extrovert, I feel like it's a superpower. I'm like, yeah, God put his hand on you when he did that. I was like, because I can't remember nothing. Like, don't, after my presentations, don't ask me to, recite or tell you again what I said, because I didn't even know I was going to say it when I was on stage. So when it comes to, the educators who are out there right now, who any of you are hearing this message, I would hope that you just take that with you. Just prepare with humility, but perform with confidence, because you got it.
Absolutely. You know that was for me, right?
I know.
Yes, I appreciate it, because if you're prepared, you got it. You got it. You can't be even caught off guard. You got a speech, a demonstration, a skill at hand. So I just can appreciate that. So again, and I thank everybody who sent in messages and were here, tuned in. I appreciate you all. I love you all, and I thank you three. I mean, I would I'm gonna put, actually I can put it in the chat if I can do that real fast. Where can we find you? I put a little something in here, but I'm not exactly sure if that's exactly where we could find you. So is this where we can find you? Vicky, how can we find you? We looking for a house.
Yeah. So I'll yeah, if you're looking for a house, make sure you give me a call. I'm licensed in New Jersey. But no, you can did you want my phone number? You want my
Is that it right
Instagram?
here? Vicky at Vic at underscore Vicky.
Yes, that's my Instagram.
That's Instagram.
It's full of real estate, I'll be honest. It hasn't evolved, but I'll put my phone number down if anybody wants to reach me, and I can put it in the chat. Anyone can reach me anytime.
Okay. Aquay, same thing.
Yeah, at Aquarius, you have it correct. At Aquarius on social. Thanks for sharing that.
Brad,
Yep, everything's correct on there. If you're looking for me outside of Instagram, it's just Brad Butler II on all social media platforms. The website is bradbutler2.com, so I'm pretty easy to find. I tell everybody, if you can't find me, it's because you ain't really looking.
Absolutely, I found you. So thank you again, everybody. I really appreciate it. I got one more message I want to see before somebody leaves. Before we leave, real fast. There you go, Michelle. Look. Vicky.
I'm putting
Michelle
in.
King's beautiful woman. Really. We got you, Michelle. We got you. So again, thank you for coming, joining me at Empowered Educators with Ronnette Branham. I appreciate you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Take care.